planning for this?
Welcome back, TPR Nation. This is your co-host, Micah Shalansky. And in this week's mini pod, Tips from the Trenches, I want to talk about a foundational rule that is in there, that is in our business that we don't think about. And when we don't think about it, and when we do not apply it, sometimes we don't deliver the value to clients that we need to have. And not only that, I want to show you how this rule went against me. So stay tuned for the end of this little mini pod when I'm going to share an experience where a client went out and got a second opinion on my work and I didn't follow this foundational rule and how it came up. So it's stuff we can always learn, which is great. So what rule am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this greatest rule called the Dishwasher Rule. And yes, this is a term that we had coined inside of this, but basically the concept of this is, I jokingly take it from our household, right? If I'm upstairs and I'm doing dishes and I get done with the dishes and my wife doesn't see it, do I get credit for that? Now, I did the work. Yes, I'm contributing to the household. Yes, dishes need to get done. But I also kind of want to get a little wife credit for this, right? I want to get a little bonus points saying, yes, I'm contributing in the house. And if she doesn't see it, do I get those points? No, I do not. So I called it the dishwasher rule. Now, it's a big joke in our household. But when I do dishes, I always holler down, hey, sweetie, do you have any other dishes? I'm finishing up a load, right? And so we joke about it now. She totally knows that I do this. But this is getting credit for the work that you have done. Now, how does that apply in financial planning? How often do we do work? Do we do things for the client? Check off a box and never communicate with the client that we actually did that work. The client has no idea that we did or didn't do that. And that's what kind of bit me in the butt a little bit. I'm going to share. So the dishwasher rule is really important. Now, this came to light the other day when I was out to lunch with some friends. And when we were out there, we split the check and one of the ladies ordered a cup of coffee. And that cup of coffee did not come timely. We had to remind the waitress a couple of times. Eventually, the cup of coffee came. Well, when the lady was reviewing her check, she noticed the cup of coffee wasn't on there. So she thought it got put on my check. So she flagged the waitress down and was like, hey, I ordered the coffee. I think it's on his check. It needs to be on mine. So really nice. It was like a couple bucks. I wasn't super worried about it, but it was really nice that she did that. And the waitress turned around and said, oh, I ended up not even charging for that because it took so long. Now you may be thinking, Micah, well, there's an example of the dishwasher rule. She let her know what she did. No, this was a dishwasher fail. Why was it a fail? Because in order to successfully complete the dishwasher rule, what she should have done when she brought the cup of coffee was said, my apologies for this taking so long. I went ahead and waived it, or I've eaten that fee for you because you shouldn't have to pay it because of the miscommunication. I hope you enjoy the cup of coffee. Let me know if you need anything else. That would be a great example because she needs to get the credit for not charging the client for that cup of coffee. This is really important. Okay, that's a cup of coffee, right? So how does that apply in the financial planning? Well, this applies to me. I had a client, and I talked about this in another mini pod, about getting second opinions. Go out and get a second opinion on my work. And I'm totally fine with that. I encourage it. Go for it. If you feel, not comfortable enough, if you want someone else to look in a second opinion, go for it. If another advisor knows something I don't, I would love to learn that in order to improve my knowledge. And I want the best for my clients. So I got zero qualms with that. Make sure you go back and listen to that mini pod that talks about it. But now this is after the fact. The client had went out, got that second opinion, etc. We had another meeting and they were agreed to move forward with all of our recommendations. They're transferring over their accounts well into the seven figures, which is really nice. And I asked the client a question. I said, hey, before we move forward, I know you were going to go see another financial planner. How did that go? And a couple things came up with that. One of the things they said is, Micah, the one thing that he kind of mentioned that you didn't bring up is he suggested we should go do a refinance because we could save half a point, if not a 1 percentage point in interest, but we would need to do a refinance in order to do that. And it's really funny because I had looked at this and I did not bring it up to the client because it didn't make financial sense. So I did the work. I didn't get the credit for it. Not only that, did I not get the credit for doing the work because I didn't tell the client. Now another financial advisor is poking holes in my plan because I didn't bring something up. This is a great example of the dishwasher rule. Another reason to do it is to make sure the clients know they are taken care of. Now in this particular case, the clients had $50,000 left on their mortgage. That was there. Yes, they could save a little bit less than 1%, but all of us can quickly do the math. The dollar savings of that is negative, and how fast they were actually paying the mortgage off. The mortgage is going to get paid off in the next 18 months with their payment plans. So it makes zero sense for them to refinance. Once I explained the math to them, they said, oh, well, that was actually a bad recommendation. It doesn't make any sense. But I could have been ahead of that with explaining to them how it works first. So that's where that dishwasher rule comes into account. Even if we think something doesn't apply to a client, we want them to make an educated and informed decision so that they can move forward with the right plan. And if someone else asks about it, they already know these options existed. Now, this particular client, a little follow-up on that one as well, they did talk about it and said, you know what, that was kind of the only thing he brought up. He had this thing, he showed us another chart that kind of didn't make a lot of sense. We'll have another mini pod about that one. But then really his services were pretty limited because he didn't know anything about federal benefits. He couldn't answer too many questions about long-term care insurance. And then really, Micah, he didn't even bring up taxes and couldn't even look at our tax return. So how does he even do advice if he can't look at our taxes? That is a beautiful example of the dishwasher rule, because we talk about this all the time, the benefit of asking a client for the tax return and the power that it's there and the things that we're going to look at. And when they went somewhere else for advice, they were like, oh my gosh, he couldn't even look at our taxes. And the client, she said, Micah, there's nothing bad about him, but I think his services were very limited and we need someone with more expertise in all of these areas to help us with our financial planning. Perfect. We're glad to be able to work with you and to be able to help with that. And we were able to help them as a client because they saw that, and we adequately applied the dishwasher rules in most ways. But of course, there's always ways to improve. So action assignment, homework assignment for this week, go back. Where are you failing in the dishwasher rule? Maybe you're not even doing it at all. How do you be intentional about these things? These are value adds to your clients. And until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife.